Hello everyone, this is MC Mad Lion, and I want to use this video to take a deep dive into HypMic and how it reflects modern Japanese culture and daily life based on my experiences here. This may or may not be the first of a series. If you enjoy it, please hit like. Also, there will be manju. You have been warned. Anyways, let's start by taking a look at our good friend Doppo. There he is. Hey, Doppo. So Doppo, as we know, he's poor, overworked Doppo. He's what they call a salaryman in Japanese. He's a white-collar cog stuck in the corporate machine without much hope for the future. The salaryman is a pretty common stereotype of Japan, but how does Doppo illustrate the modern salaryman, and why is he so real and so relatable to so many people? Well, first of all, Doppo works for a black kigyo in Japanese, hence we have the black background. What does this mean? In English, it means toxic workplace. So that's buraku kigyo, black kigyo, toxic workplace. And it involves everything you don't want in an employer. Unrealistic overtime expectations, abusive lazy management, and a sad excuse for a salary. Doppo himself is often referred to as shachiku, which means corporate slave, and it's a play on the word kachiku, which means livestock. So you can get the picture. Doppo's salary, by the way, can be estimated at about 5,830,000 yen, based on his line in the Me Against the World drama track, where he says his division rap battle victory earnings, 35 million yen, are 6 times his yearly salary. Now, this is actually not that bad. Yeah, it's not too bad for someone his age and in his position. Now that's unless he's talking before taxes, in which case, yeah, it's a pretty crappy salary, considering all the overtime he does, especially if he and Hifumi really live in Shinjuku, also considering how much tax Chuoku takes from these guys. So yeah, sorry, Doppo, we're sad again. I guess it's fair to assume Hifumi pays the rent. There he is. Hey, Hifumi, since he doesn't even blink when he gets 35 million yen from the DRB, so thanks, Hifumi. Yeah, you guys are cute. So how does Doppo reflect real salaryman experiences? It's basically all in the lyrics of the song Black or White, which is an anthem for the modern Japanese white-collar urban millennial. Doppo's been hired into a toxic workplace, he's stressed out by handling relationships with his boss, his superiors, and even his juniors, and he's stuck at work from 8 a.m. until after the last train leaves Shinjuku Station, which is pretty late. All of this is wrapped up in the Black or White lyrics if you listen to them or take a look at them. So in addition, Doppo has been experiencing something called hataraki kata kaikaku, or work-style reform, which is also in the Black or White lyrics. He shouts it, hataraki kata kaikaku. Ugh, try saying that 10 times fast. Hataraki kata kaikaku, work-style reform, is an effort from the Japanese government to curb the effects of black kigyos and their excessive overtime, pay discrepancies, and harassment issues, among other things. Now, unfortunately, it's had mixed results, and in Doppo's case, he's not seeing many. This also makes Doppo incredibly relatable, because he was hired into a toxic workplace in a bad economy, expected some change, but none happened, and now it's the year 2021, and we're still all stuck in the office. Ugh. Let's look at some of the things Japan tried as part of the work-style reform. So first of all, to curb overtime, several years ago, Wednesday was declared no overtime day, and all workers were encouraged to leave the office by 7 p.m. on Wednesdays. Now this actually took off, but it also ended up with a lot of employees just going out drinking with their bosses. So were they really off the clock? Probably not. Japan also tried to implement something called Premium Friday, where people were encouraged to take half a day off on the last Friday of the month. Now, this was not so successful since being absent during working hours just didn't make sense for a lot of companies. As for harassment, there are several types, and in Black or White, Doppo mentions 2. Sekuhara, which is sexual harassment. Hifumi, perhaps you can demonstrate. Great. Sorry, Hifumi. And also pawahara. This is power harassment, which is basically people with authority bullying the little people that don't really... Do I have anyone? Oh yeah, hey. There we go. Jyuto, you can pawahara. Poor little Doppo. Okay. There are many, many types of workplace harassment out there, and in Japanese it's easy to combine English words with harassmento to describe it. So sekuhara, sexual harassmento, pawahara, power harassment. Another one we hear is matahara, maternity harassment, which is harassment towards pregnant women or women who want to be pregnant in the workplace. There's also kasuhara, which is customer harassment, when you have a nightmare client. Do I have any manju who would be a nightmare client? I don't think so. Yeah, another one, terehara, is telephone harassment, which new hires use to complain about their managers making them use the telephone to work, which is something most new hires today just aren't used to, because really, who uses the phone anymore? Doppo. Nope, not a phone guy. So Doppo has been working at a toxic workplace that has probably been attempting to adjust to these new regulations with varied levels of success, failure, and based on black or white, it sounds like he is no better off than he was 4 years ago. Nope. And that's along with the rest of the white-collar millennials working corporate jobs. So Doppo is incredibly relatable. So we talked a little bit about how Doppo is pretty relatable to the everyman, but now enter COVID-19. A lot of the new HypMic media refers to COVID-19 and its countermeasures in Japan, such as opening the windows on commuter trains to let in fresh air and get some circulation. Again, that's another Doppo lyric from Light and Shadow. We can assume that the pandemic is more or less a part of the HypMic canon. So, in that case, what has Doppo been going through? Well, at first, probably reluctant remote work. When Japan went into its first state of emergency in April 2020, a lot of companies attempted to go partially or fully remote with different levels of success. Some companies stuck with it, and others just couldn't handle it. So after the first state of emergency was lifted, many workers found themselves commuting again. Yay! And never going back to remote work. And even as new restrictions and states of emergency were implemented, the number of people commuting, I cannot say this word, commuting, the number of people commuting just hasn't gone down, which means Doppo has probably been commuting and going to the office throughout the entire pandemic, and it has been a very long time. On top of that, since he works for a medical company, his working hours and conditions have likely only gotten worse. Now, on the other hand, Hifumi's host club likely will have shut down or drastically reduced its operations since Kabukicho was a COVID hotspot for a while. What does that mean for poor Doppo living with him? And also, alcohol sales have been banned recently. Ugh. So it's good that at least one of them is working. That's you. Now, how about Jakurai? There he is. Jakurai has probably been stuck at his hospital this entire time too, considering his general must-save-everyone attitude, and he's a doctor and he probably knows what he's doing. So, Doppo's working intense hours, Hifumi's occupation is on the rocks, and Sensei is busy, so yeah, hang in there, Matenro. Anyways, I just pop these guys here. Hey, Matenro, oh, we love Doppo. So that's a short, somewhat disjointed deep dive into modern work culture via Doppo and our friends Matenro. It's been a wild ride over the past few years with various attempts to make things better, followed by massive pandemic upheavals. And what's the future looking like? Well, depending on where you're employed, remote work might stick around, but other than that, probably not much is going to change. So we're stuck on the train again with Doppo. Doppo. Opening the windows, wearing masks, commuting to our jobs, where we'll attempt to get out on time but probably fail. The Japanese work culture is pretty deeply entrenched, and it's going to take a lot more effort to bring things in the right direction. So for the time being, Doppo is still going to be incredibly very relatable. So that's the end. Again, if you enjoyed the video, please hit like and let me know. And if you're really brave, you can subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, maybe see you again sometime. Bye-bye!